Kirlian photography is something that people now see as almost like forbidden knowledge. Like people are still searching for this. And I know this because quite a long time ago now, when I first started my channel, I was doing little shorts on all sorts of interesting information that I knew. And I did a couple on Kirlian photography, and they're still being watched. And they were very brief, but it's a really interesting subject. And do you know, it was discovered by accident in 1889, I think it was, by people doing things with normal photography and then discovering that by certain, techniques or by accident, and this is how it occurred, they could see an energetic discharge that was coming up on photographs, on the photographic paper. Now, you may think this is nothing. Oh, why would anybody want to know that? Just think about why it would be hidden. Because today I've been thinking about that because I just Googled it and you can't find hardly anything. And a lot of what you do find, they're saying in a very dismissive way. I'm just going to give you a little bit of the brief history because what Kirlian photography, and it's not even using a camera, it's a energy discharge or electric discharge plate that is used, and you're then placing a living object or a person, because this is how we used to have it used on us in the 80s, and I'll go into that in a moment. We were placed in a special unit which was built. There were many units built where you could sit inside, and I think maybe we laid down. I don't totally remember, but I know I do have still in England. When I go back home there, I'm going to pick them up. I'm pretty sure I kept them. I kept very few possessions when I left, but I'm pretty sure I kept those photographs that were taken of my head and body and of my hands. But the reason, let's just quickly go into the reason why they would be hidden, because this is something I've been thinking about today. When you're a intuitive like myself, or a psychic as well, and I channel all sorts of information, and very accurately I can answer questions for people when I'm asked to do so, about certain things in their life. And it surprises me, let alone them. But so for people like us, when somebody walks in a room and they have a very bad negative energy, we pick it up. We know to stay away from them, or we know to move out of that area. Ask anybody who's doing anything in the intuitive healing world, or the psychic world, or the new age world in a way. We'll call it that for now. But we know what's going on with that person. And if we had them laid down on a couch, I mean, I've been able to pick up all sorts of information and also help to rewire their energy fields when I've worked with people in this way. So that's obvious. But listen, what about if we had a unit which used to be around in the 80s at all the Mind, Body, Spirit exhibitions that I used to go to at Olympia in London, and all around the country, smaller scale ones were running. And these people who had these machines, where are all these machines? This is what I ask myself today. Because we used to line up, pay our £20 and learn whether we had shifted that energy, that dark energy that was in our solar plexus from last year when we went, or whether our energy was now beaming out more of the beautiful colours that we needed, and were showing up on last year's Kirlian photography that we had done, because we used to keep them. And where are they now? Because when I Google, I can't see any of it available. And it's being shut down. I just want to say this. It's been shut down. They no longer burn down the Alexandria, library, do they? Because that would be discovered pretty quick. And anyway, it's all online now as well. So they have their ways of getting rid of all the information and the proof that you need to realize you are an amazing energetic being and you're here for a purpose, and that you can heal different parts of yourself. And I just wanted to relate it to that Kirlian, because it's a mystery, isn't it? How did they get rid of all those? Because I knew quite a few people who worked as practitioners of Kirlian photography. Do you know, the history of it goes from 1889, when it was discovered in some sort of, place where they were playing around with photography, because it was a whole new subject, wasn't it? And they kind of dismissed it, but it was pulled out of the archives of knowledge by a Russian couple called Valentina Kirlian and her partner Semyon. And that was in the 30s, I believe. And they started doing all the experiments in Russia and really showed what it could do. And I'm sure they did the experiments like I saw photographs of, because you actually get a physical photograph. I'm saying that word even though that it's not a camera. It's an energetic, or an energy with a high frequency of electricity going through this discharge plate. That's how it works. So we could go into a booth and put our hands down, and then that was closed off from the rest of our body, and they would discharge the energy through the plate and then print off, like one of these automatic machines where you go in and have your photograph done for fun. It was as quick as that. And we used to stand there and wait to see what did our energetic auric field show us today. And it was fun. It was informative, and it was healing to see. So this couple played around with it and discovered what it showed up, because they were fascinated by it. So they followed their passion, and they were able to show, and I'm sure what I was going to say there was they were able to do the bit where you tear a leaf off a plant. Oh, I feel bad saying that, because I have my beautiful large avocado plant in my room here, and I converse with this plant all the time. And so I'm saying that, but I'm not doing that. So if you think about when you tear off a leaf from a plant, and then you put the plant and the leaf into on this discharge plate, and you still see the energy in the leaf that is torn away from the plant. And also this has been done with people who were amputees. And they know anyway, if you talk to anybody who's had a limb amputated, they will tell you that they see it and they feel the energy in the whole leg, even though half the leg's gone. And they even have pain there too. But people who come and do healing might put their hands an inch away from that body, and they can feel the whole leg, and the leg isn't there. But I'm sure this couple, Semyon and Valentina Kirlian, would have seen that, because they were fascinated by it. And remember, fascinations are signposts on our journey, and that was the signpost on their journey. So they went on for years doing work with this. When I came across it, it would have been in the 80s and 90s, when I was going regularly and actually doing my own. I worked under the heading of alchemist for a time, because I could douse over remedies of vibrational essences of flowers, bought flower remedies, and I could pick up what people needed without even talking to the people. So they could stand there silent, and I could give them remedies for their state of mind and their emotional state. And I was a dowser of emotional states, mental states, and all sorts of things about people for 9 years. That was the first thing I ever did. Me being a card reader now and doing the more recognizable stuff is different to what I started doing. So I started with fundamentals on a really intuitive level and psychic level, which I didn't even understand, but I knew it was happening. But go back to this couple, fascinating couple, who led the way. And now if you search I doubt you'll find a practitioner because I certainly couldn't. And what I want to talk about here, and is not just about Kirlian photography. I had a client, somebody I was just volunteering to work with. And they had the beginnings of a disease. And I wanted to show them about a German man, a German doctor, who discovered, again, through following his fascinations about brain scans, because he was able to scan brains and read them like no other person. And he could pick up by these little markings that came up from the brain. He could pick up what people were going to have happen to their body before it even happened, because the markings appear on our brain before you're even going to get the manifestation of the physical and the disease. Now, I hunted for him. I've never, even now, I can't remember his name, actually. I did find him again, but I'll tell you, Googling that man, it took me hours to come in from different angles. When you're using search engines, if you come in from a different direction because you can't find it one direction, you'll find something. It should be there as the first thing if you look up German doctor who found markings on the brain and realized they interpreted diseases to come or traumas that person had gone through. You should be able to find it, yeah? No. That had been wiped. This is when I started to look at other things I knew. The Italian doctor, Simonini, I think his name was. I also wanted to show her him and his treatment with baking soda, with bicarbonate of soda, because he discovered, I mean, going back, let's just go back here, going back into folklore medicine and all of that, the old days, people would take bicarbonate of soda to balance their systems. And what it does is it alkalizes. But this guy followed his fascination, a doctor. He followed his fascination on realizing how well it worked, and he started injecting it into tumors and they disappeared. His success rate was over 90%. He got locked up in an Italian jail for tax fraud or something. They're going to get you somehow, not because they want that money back for the taxes. It's because they need to stop that information, because it will close down the pharmaceutical huge business of cancer recovery, wouldn't it? Because it's very unlikely that many get recovery, but they certainly spend a lot of money on medicines trying to do it. But Simonini, I'm not even sure I'm saying that right, but you can find him if you spend enough time. But this is all white. So there's Kirlian, there's the German doctor, there's Simonini with the bicarbonate of soda. That information is so hard to find now because it's being wiped out, as if they're burning down the Library of Alexandria that lost us all the knowledge for centuries. The other one that I'll briefly mention is breatharianism. I mean, I did the 8-day course in 2018. It was fantastic. I did not die of not eating. I felt the most fantastic realignment I'd ever felt in one go. It was amazing, and I would go back to it. The reason I did it was that I could now do it at any point if I needed to and wanted to, and I may go that route at some point in my life. But it was an incredible realignment. It kind of restarted every system in my body. It reclaimed every system in my body by keeping food and water out for 8 days. It's about 6 days, because you start off with coming into it with eating a bit of fruit, actually, and water, and then you stop those. But there are thousands of breatharians all around the world, but you will not find information. Again, because I couldn't find the 2 cures I was trying to find for this person, with the German doctor, who could show you that it was trauma, because he could pinpoint what sort of trauma and what disease you were going to get, because he spent hours on his fascination, his life path. But where do you find him now? You're going to have patience, because it took me a whole afternoon to find the name of him and the Italian doctor who understood what baking soda does when you inject it into tumours in your body, and they just disappear because they've alkalized completely. And cancer is acidic, and an acidic disease. Anyway, Kirlian photography, look it up. Get Google engine working for you in some way, and also start to try and see and question yourself as to why you don't know about all these things, why you don't know that there was proof out there from the 1880s when it was first discovered by accident from an electrical discharge plate. Bye for now. Got you thinking, haven't I, on a Sunday morning? Bye.